I'm Tony Tattoo, and this is Wide Open YYC. I'd like to start with a fun fact for the show. Ozzy Osbourne, in an attempt to make light or profit off the 37th anniversary of his infamous bat-biting incident in Iowa back in January of 1982. So, kids, let Tony Tattoo educate you on the circumstances of the incident. During the Diary of Madman tour, and you can Google it, fans would bring raw meat or other goodies to throw on stage during the show. So a fan threw a live bat on stage, and Ozzy, thinking it was a rubber one, picked it up, bit its head off, and as it turned out, it was a real one. And Ozzy had to quit the show and get rabies shots, which I understand is a very painful experience. So, in memory of that incident, Ozzy has released a bat-shaped plush toy worth about $40 US. The interesting thing is that you can pull its head off, or chew it off, whatever you prefer. This will ensure that you will never have normal kids that obviously traumatize them for life. Remarkably, the first run has sold out, and fans are invited to take part in pre-sale scheme for future releases. So, Sharon! Today my monologue is about genders, which should be as simple as male and female. However, I went to fill out a form the other day, and when it came to the question of gender, it read male, female, and other. So, of course, as your dutiful servant and in the name of contributing to society, I researched other. Now, for the fun game of Did You Know? Did you know that there are 58 recognized genders, at least by the Facebook standard? So I'll read off all 58 of these options so as not to offend anyone. So here goes. Agender, androgyne, androgynous, bigender, CIS, CIS gender, CIS female, CIS male, CIS man, CIS woman, CIS gender woman, CIS gender man, CIS gender female, CIS gender male, male to female, female to male, gender fluid, gender non-conforming, gender questioning, gender variant, gender queer, intersex, here's one, neither, neutrals, non-binary, and here's another one, other, pangender, transgender, trans female, trans male, trans man, trans person, trans woman, trans feminine, transgender woman, transgender man, transgender male, trans masculine, transsexual, transsexual female, transsexual male, transsexual man, transsexual woman, transsexual person, true spirit, Aquaman, Spider-Man, Catwoman, Barbie, Martians, Venusians, Moonrakers, and that dude from The Shape of Water, and Keith Richards. This male is confused. Can anyone justify why we need 58? So, therefore, male and female should be as easy as nuts and bolts. We have a great show coming up for you today. Please subscribe to our show on YouTube and follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
Hello and welcome to Alternatively.
Hey.
Thank you, Tony, for allowing me to do this. Your monologue today was very interesting.
Okay, that's thought-provoking, that's what I was going for.
Yeah.
As usual.
The beginning that I thought was a little bit of a bait and switch on your part was that you described going and filling out a form, and there was the option of male, female, and other. And then you went into Facebook and the options that you can choose for your gender on Facebook.
Well, it was like, it was the options of gender that Facebook recognizes.
Yeah, that Facebook recognizes that people...
Like when you fill out your Facebook page, you can put your gender in there, right? And it's like...
Right, but that's not... I feel like saying it's a recognized gender is... That's a company who has realized that people on their platform want the option of putting in stuff like that, so they put it there.
Okay. 58 of them? Actually, the original list was actually 61. But it just said the ones that, because I was limited time, limited research, so I went to Facebook. And,
may I ask you something?
Absolutely.
What is wrong with giving people the option of picking whatever they want?
Didn't say, in my whole thing, I didn't say there was anything wrong with it. I just said, why do we need it?
Oh, because people identify that way.
So male, female, and other, like say transgender, is just not cut it?
Well...
Why does there have to be 58 different versions?
I mean, I have the same argument for this as I have for the genre argument in a previous episode. not argument, discussion,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
it's available to those who want it. What's the harm?
I'm just again, I like simplifying things.
Right.
Male, female.
But that's not
And
as
if you're getting
not as simple for everyone as it is for you.
Well, I don't understand why it can't be. That's.
Well, that's not the way the human brain works all the time, right? Like, you're a cisgendered male, cisgendered straight male in society. You've never had to struggle to come up with a word to describe how you feel, how you identify. A lot of people do.
58 of them?
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the world, man.
Oh, there's a lot of people, but I'm like, I just, like I said, it still behooves me that people can identify with like a handful at least, but there has to be like, it's like we talked about the genres of music. It's like, why does there have to be a specific?
Well, I have
to set yourself apart or feel better about yourself from a transgender. You call yourself a trans woman, or
well, a lot of transgender people just identify. Yes, they would be a trans woman or a trans man, but they're still a man or a woman, right? Like they still identify. That's what they identify.
Exactly.
Right?
So visually, or anatomy wise.
Anatomically.
Anatomically.
That is getting away from the point. It doesn't matter what.
No, it actually describes the point.
No. Because gender is a construct. It's a way to describe people. So your physical body might not match up with how you identify in your brain.
Really?
Yes. Well, that's what transgender is. That's what. If someone is born with the wrong anatomy, not the wrong anatomy, but just they don't identify as what they were born into, right?
So then we all have like 58 different areas in our brain that will dictate.
I mean, I'm not a neuroscientist, but
me neither.
I know that there are people out there that identify as everything you just said, and I think it's funny too because you kept saying CIS. Female and CIS male. That's cisgendered.
So what does cis mean?
Cisgendered is not transgendered. You are cisgendered. You're a cisgendered male.
Okay.
That's all that means.
I don't know.
It's and also there's cultural aspects to this too. Like I know you have Aboriginal roots.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. What about Two-Spirit? That's absolutely a gender that is culturally important to a lot of Aboriginal people.
Sure, but I'm a male.
Right. But I'm saying like there are tons of people out there who aren't just male or aren't just female. Like it's more complicated for them. So why not make the world easier for them and more like just make it, hey, this is normal. You can identify as any of this kind of stuff. You don't have to be stringent of like male female.
Huh. Well, this is kind of like a little visual for you.
Oh no.
Male, female. Nuts and bolts.
But again, you're talking about like physical anatomy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a choice when you want to form male, female.
Right.
So they're talking about anatomy, right?
But a woman, okay. So for example, a woman can have a penis.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
If they will so choose, it's their right.
No. But like that's my point. Is you can be a woman and still anatomically not match up with what you are.
Well, here's the thing: is that we live in a free country, and thank God that we had people ahead of us, before us, that fought for our right to have the freedom to do what we want to do, or call ourselves what we want to call. If they want to call themselves a Muppet, call yourself a Muppet. I don't care.
Now you're being like you're putting it down. It's like
no,
this is important to people. This is like
where's the science in that though? Like,
the science in it?
Yeah. It's like you just calling yourself something. It's like I'm going to call myself.
Right,
I'm going to call myself a Muppet.
No,
okay,
you're belittling it. You're belittling it.
Because in my mind, in my head, in that little place in my brain, I feel like a Muppet.
You're belittling that. People are using language to describe how they feel.
I'm a trans Muppet. Okay, there we go. How's that?
That was awful. That's
what do you
mean.
mean?
You're being mean-spirited.
No, listen, I'm not being. I'm not. saying anything in a mean spirit at all. You have the freedom and right to call yourself what you like. I agree with that. I've never.
Right, but it's not just people like picking random stuff out of the air, being like, oh, I want to be this week.
Well, how do we end up with 58 of them?
But it's people use words to describe how they feel, right? And
I feel like
some
a trans
people
muppet right now.
Why?
Just because I just feel that way now.
That's what I'm saying. That's ridiculous. That is not
right. You agree?
No, I don't agree with you. You are being ridiculous by diminishing it to that level. They don't just say, "Oh, today I feel like a trans woman." That's not how it works. People have anguished lives trying to figure out how they identify and how they can feel comfortable in their own skin. And
so they can't identify being a male or female?
Not if that's not how they identify, right?
Identify, okay. How do other people identify them?
Why do you need to?
Well, male, female. It's like...
Right. So, when does that come up? When do you need to know that about somebody else?
I don't.
Exactly.
I do have, believe it or not, I have actually acquaintances who have had sex changes.
Okay.
And it's like, that doesn't bother me at all. I'm not mean-spirited by saying like, hey, you feel like being a woman? The man's name was Darren, he turned his name into Daria.
No, I'm saying you were being mean-spirited by comparing it to you right now when you don't actually feel this way,
okay,
and describing it as a muppet. Like, that's...
Well, I feel like a male.
Right. And that's fine. And it's also fine for everyone who identifies as everything on this list.
Okay, 58 of them?
Yeah. A lot of these are different phrases for the same group of people, right?
How do you explain other and neither?
Other and neither. Well, I would say if someone doesn't want to give information to Facebook, they could just put other or neither or whatever. Like that could be a thing, not even for someone who has a different gender identity, right?
Mm.
But all of the rest of them, it's like you can put what makes you feel most comfortable, even if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these apply to you, right? Mm. Like that's how similar some of these are.
That's really confusing, man. I'm sorry, I'm confused.
But it's like, again, I always go back to empathy. To me, even if it's confusing, making the argument to not have these, just to simplify it, would hurt a lot of people. So I tend to not think that way.
Okay. Well, I feel like a male today.
All right. Feel like we haven't really learned much, but I appreciate you talking to me about it.
Absolutely, man.
Okay.
I'm here to help.
Thanks.
Hi, welcome again, and this is Jamie Stern and Shauna Lee, and today we are on the Wide Open YYC, and our segment is called No Limits. And we're going to be talking about social media today, and we thought we'd spice it up a little bit. And we have a mystery guest on our show, and we're going to refer him to Mr. Mike. And say hello, Mr. Mike, from the background.
How you doing?
So, how are you doing today, Shauna?
I'm good.
You're good?
This is Jamie.
I'm doing really good today, actually. Yeah, I'm a little tired. Had some problems sleeping last night, but other than that, pretty good.
It was fantastic.
Well, thank you. So do you. And Mike, how are you feeling today?
I'm right-eyed, bushy-tailed.
That is wonderful. So anyway, we're going to start our segment off. Like I said, we're going to be doing a segment on social media, and we're going to start off with Facebook. So my whole thing with Facebook, I actually think it's a great thing to be able to connect with family members and friends that you haven't seen in a while, to share pictures, baby pictures, that kind of thing. My problem with it though is I have a problem with cyberbullying. That is a huge, huge issue to me. I remember when we were growing up, bullying was hard enough just without being on social media and pictures and whatnot. And now we have Snapchat and a whole bunch of other things. So, what do you think is a good thing, your view anyway, what do you think is a good thing to stop cyberbullying besides causing, being aware about it?
Yeah, obviously that's never going to change. There's always going to be, there's always going to be bullies. There always has been, there's always going to be. That will never change, unfortunately. My suggestion would be, as far as getting rid of it completely, I hate to say it, but maybe staying off social media. Like, I know it's really hard for kids these days to not be on their phones, not be on the internet, and you know, adults too. But I think maybe the only way to really avoid it is just to stay off of social media and like take your account down or do whatever you need to do. I know it doesn't end there, but I think that's definitely one thing that you can try to prevent it. I know that kind of sucks, but you know.
Or try to even stay out of photos.
Just try to stay away.
There's something going on in photos, like at parties. Like, I understand. I mean, we've been to parties and stuff when we were, you know, 16, 17, and things can get pretty ugly. And we never had people, you know, thank goodness we had those disposable cameras. Do you remember those? And you're waiting like a week. I can't wait to get these cameras.
Yes. And with us, it was like bike racks after school. We fought it out.
Yeah, we fought it real. We didn't actually like hide behind
stuff back then.
Yeah.
It was when you had a fight coming, it came to you and you couldn't stop it, and you had no choice but to just get it over with and be done with it. And half the time you end up fighting these people, you end up being friends with them afterwards.
Exactly.
Because let's face it, kids are hormonal and a little whacked out, so yeah.
I just feel like it's terrible for people who get bullied for no reason, and then it ends up sometimes in suicide, and that it's just awful. And there has to be more awareness. And I think, you know, like we have a friend actually that doesn't let their daughter go on Facebook.
And I don't blame her.
Yeah.
I would, you know, like I said, it's like what our parents said to us when we were kids. The bullies, stay away from them. Yeah. Just stay away from them. Avoid them at all costs. Stay with them. Unfortunately, you can't always avoid them because they follow you around and they pick on you, and so I do understand that. But if you want to try to prevent it, I would say just stay off social media, and that's hard for a kid. But
that's really
get a hobby, go to the gym, do something like just.
What do you think, Mr. Mike? What are your views on that? You have 2 children, so.
I think Shauna's got the right idea when she says stay off social media if you don't want to. If you're a victim, that's really the
only thing you can do.
The final way to do it.
Really. Yeah.
Problem is that puts the entire onus on the victim. I think that awareness has to be raised. I think that active participation from people who are out to protect their other friends, family members, what have you. You see them being bullied, make sure you participate back. Shut down the conversation.
Definitely.
Let your cousin's mom know that she's being picked on Facebook. That's what I think.
Exactly. And definitely stand up, you know, because everyone needs to stand up. Definitely.
Also realize some of the subtle comments you make on Facebook, you might accidentally be bullying somebody.
Well, yeah,
so
we never know.
Self-awareness comes in too.
Yeah. Self-awareness for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you know, and another thing that, you know, and I know it bugs both of us too, is people that put their whole life on Facebook. Like, okay, you had a bad day, we understand that. I mean, we all have bad days, right? Like, but oh my goodness, like the rants like this.
The rants on Facebook's like, get a friend or get a therapist.
Or get a hobby.
Not everybody wants to hear your whole life story. I mean, it's Facebook for me is the same as her. I enjoy pictures. I enjoy, you know, party photos and like family pictures and like cute little blurbs here and there, and like pictures of a new dog you got or whatever. That's fine. But people that are on there, you know, blah, 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 putting on their whole rants and stuff, get a therapist. Or find a friend.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear it.
Nobody wants to hear it. And please, food photos, I don't give a shit what you're eating for supper today.
We don't care what you're eating.
Yeah, and please don't challenge me to games. I have enough shit going on in my life to play all these games, so just a heads up. I don't know. That's what I think.
Foodies too. And the final thing for me, and I know this is...
Oh yeah, I know what you're going to say.
Ladies, and actually some gentlemen, the duck faces, enough. Seriously, enough with the selfie.
Can you show our viewers an example of a duck face so they know what you're...
I don't even know how to do a duck face.
Just try.
How's it?
No, it's like a... I don't know what... Mike's doing a perfect duck face right now.
Oh, you should see Mike.
Mike, yeah.
Yeah, that's enough of that too, by the way. We don't need to see 6 selfies of you a day in different outfits and duck lips. It's getting a little old.
Yeah, but we just unfollow them anyway.
Sure.
All right, so that was, all right, so we covered that. Another thing I'm just going to quickly top up on the social media aspect is my Mystery Mike. You had something to say earlier about LinkedIn.
Actually, you guys kind of touched on it here about a minute ago.
Okay.
I mean, Facebook's a great place if you want to show me what you had for breakfast or what you're putting on in the morning, that sort of thing. This is the site to do it on.
Right, or Instagram, LinkedIn, I think, even better.
Sites like LinkedIn. It's more of a professional situation. We want to know what you're up to. Keep it up to date if you want to be, considered for future opportunities. It's great business networking and other networking.
Exactly.
But it is not a place where we want to see what you have for breakfast or how cute the
Right.
new puppy is.
No.
It is okay if you want to put out an inspirational quote or say how good this particular course you just took online was.
You're talking about
If you want to give a shout out to
LinkedIn,
some
yeah.
other professionals,
Yeah.
it's great, but
I don't even know how to use LinkedIn.
I was on there for a little while when I was in the insurance industry, but I haven't been on there. But yeah, it's more of a business thing.
it is.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean it has to strictly be. I mean, there's some really good little clips, and like I said, people will put some inspirational quotes on there, and that's great too. But trying to keep it to a minimum when you're going to go into the background of what you're doing in your everyday life.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
try to keep it professional.
Yes, please.
Try.
On that side in particular.
Try.
Please.
Yeah.
So, okay, groovy. So we covered the social media part, and then we're quickly going to just do a little fun segment about pet peeves
Oh boy.
and what our pet peeves are. And Sean and I have a few, and I think that we should definitely voice these pet peeves.
I'm sure there's other people out there that feel
I
the
think
same
you guys
way.
are going to agree too.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start off. One for me is morning people, okay? Now, I can't stress this enough, okay? I am not an early riser. I never have been, I never will be. And, you know, some people are, and that's great. I don't judge you, but I am, I like to watch TV till maybe sometimes 3 in the morning, and I like to sleep in, right? And regardless if I'm working or not, it's just how my hours are. And you get morning people, and they get up and they're rude. They stomp around, they're opening up blinds, or banging, bang, 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 stomping, moving chairs, playing the music. Please, like, I have respect for you guys. When you go to bed early, I'm quiet. I have to, you know, watch my Netflix really quiet, you know.
Or when the
tiptoe
older
around.
folks that are having naps need a little
The
daytime nap, you know,
we're
it's like
super quiet, we're
tiptoe
respectful,
around, be
you know.
quiet, let them have their sleep, they need their sleep, but yeah, no, 6 in the morning.
It's just rude.
I've been a victim of that for 10 years, so.
Well, you know, I've been a victim. Why don't you tell the steamroller story when we lived together?
Oh, yeah.
A quick little steamroller
Quick little
story.
steamroller. Okay, her and I were living together years ago. There's construction and lots going on in her area. There was a gentleman in a steamroller out in the back alley, and it was all like stones and
It was like
rocks.
patting the gravel
They were
down.
patting the gravel
Yeah.
down to put concrete or whatever they were doing.
And we worked nights, and we just
We
went
were
to
working
bed.
nights back then in the bars, and of course we didn't go to bed till 5 in the morning. And 6:30 in the morning, we hear this, or like this steamroller, and it wasn't
My whole
like
house was shaking.
the house was shaking. Next thing I know, I was on the couch downstairs, and I was kind of flipping around, and then I heard her down the stairs from upstairs.
My hair was everywhere.
It was her hair, her makeup.
Dawn of the Dead makeup.
She walks out to the
Like,
back
what is
door,
that?
flings open the back door, and there's a steamroller guy doing his little job, and she's like,
What do you want? What are you doing? You're not even doing anything. The
he's just
gravel's
rolling
already
back and forth,
moving.
the gravel's already flat.
He's like,
he's
should
been
I
doing it
come
for-
back? I'm like, yes.
Yes,
come
come
back.
back.
He's
Come
like,
back.
okay. So, you know, it was nice that he came back, but seriously, what are you doing? If you're going to make that kind of noise,
At 6 in the morning.
do something, you know, like make a house, do something, like bat, 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 bat. Like,
Basically just driving a steamroller up and down
that's
the
all
alley.
up the alley.
And you know,
my
6
house
in the morning,
was
it's kind of freaking early.
it's ridiculous, so have some respect.
Yes.
So morning people.
Morning people.
You drive me nuts.
Good
Anyway,
for you though,
yeah,
that you're, you know,
good for you. I'm
you
so
can
glad.
see the
yes,
sunrise
yes.
and all that.
Good for
So
you.
That's great, yeah.
Pet peeve for you.
I'm just trying to think.
Got some playground zones written
Yeah,
down.
playground zones. Playground zones, too many. And in spots where we don't need them. I understand, yes, we need to protect the kids, and playground zones are a good thing. In my neighborhood, however, the thing that I find is there's a playground zone every like 6 feet. And there's never any kids.
I never see one kid.
There's never any, like when I'm driving through these, like doing 20, there's no kids. There's like, the only time I see kids is when they're going into school at like 8 in the morning, or they're coming out of school at 3 in the afternoon. And most of them don't even walk anymore. Their parents pick them up. Like there's always cars picking up the kids, so they're not walking anywhere. They're getting picked up, or there's buses. So there's no kids to hit. Why have a playground zone there? There's no
Well,
freaking
Calgary
kids.
is all one big playground. Everywhere you go, playground zone.
It's like every 2 blocks, another playground zone. It's like,
And I'm looking for a ball. I'm looking for a kid running back. I don't see anything. I'm
Maybe
like,
the odd old person walking their dog. That's probably.
I don't know.
about
Like
it.
I get the.
When I was
safety
a
of
kid, it
children,
was
but-
like look both ways before you cross the street. Unfortunately now that's, you know.
Well, people don't really. I feel like people don't teach their kids that anymore because
No.
they're on their phones and they're walking behind
They
the
do on the
bus.
street, yeah, they're doing this. They're not even paying attention to.
It's like
It's ridiculous.
yeah.
Like it's overkill with the playground zones. Enough, seriously. Enough.
Yeah.
I understand we need to protect our kids, and that's great. But like I said, every 6 feet, and half the time, most of the time, there are no kids out there, so what's the point?
Yeah. And construction definitely in Calgary.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm telling you. Mike, you know my views on this. Okay, you definitely know my views on
I
this.
really do.
I can't even drive. Seriously, like I'll drive from where I live and I could drive to High River and get there faster than driving downtown. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like how long is this construction going to take? Like I get it, we're making the city bigger and
yes.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Can we get on with it, please? Get on with it. Everywhere there is, it's construction.
And every construction zone you go through, and
nothing's happening.
Construction, so I kind of get it. But every time you go through a zone, I always find there's like 2 guys working and 8 guys standing around.
But half the
basically
time
doing nothing.
there's an empty tractor and there's nothing happening, and it's holding everyone up for hours in rush hour.
Yeah.
Like I don't even go to West Hills anymore. That's just a nightmare.
I stay away from
Absolutely
West
not.
Hills.
Like I just, yeah. What are your thoughts? I mean,
Mike?
who are the engineers
Mystery
doing
Mike.
this in Calgary? Are they just not all there, or what's going on here?
I share the exact same pain at B when it comes to Calgary being continually under construction. It's very, very irritating. When you've got a 4-lane road down to 1 lane, nothing going on, you've been driving down the same place every week.
Oh, I know,
for months, yeah.
It drives me absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
I understand there's economic drivers behind it, so you try and take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
When it comes to the playground zones, I mean, I get it, but how fast do you really need to be going through a residential area anyway, is my thing. How fast do you need to be going?
I get that, but I mean, on my street alone, it's literally, you know my street, I've got 5 playground zones.
Yep.
So, I mean,
they're
it
in the
takes me
50s.
forever. Just
They're in
to
the
get-
50 zone though, like you're going 50. Like I'm not talking about side streets, I'm talking about like main roads, like Acadia, like
Yeah.
you know, like your main road there, whatever it's called. You're going 50, right? And every 2 seconds you're like slowing down to 30, right? And there's no one around. I don't know, it just
Maybe we're just impatient.
just a
people.
pet
We just
peeve.
want to
I'm
get somewhere.
impatient. Yeah.
Maybe?
Well, I'm very impatient. I want to get to my destination quickly because everyone knows I'm always late. Always late. Jamie time, just tell me an hour prior.
Yeah.
But I'm supposed to be there and I'll be there on time, right?
And in fairness, I am one of those people, if I do see, you know, kids or family walking,
Always slow down.
I will slow down. I'm not totally ignorant. I will slow down and make sure, you know, they're not coming in front of me or doing a crosswalk thing or whatever. But it's just, you know, it's frustrating when you have to deal with that every day, and it's just every 2 seconds you're doing a playground zone and there's no bloody kids around.
Yeah, but you know what? We're not parents, so I guess we don't
No,
really know.
I guess.
Maybe we're just those people that think we know it all, but we don't have
Selfish
children.
people, yes.
But yeah, I think we're the only, well, there's a few of us that don't have children out of our posse, but I think the rest are, that have kids.
I
But,
love kids. I think
but we're
kids are
aunties,
great.
so that's good enough for us. Good enough for us.
Yes.
Another pet peeve of mine now, I don't know, I'm pretty big on this. If you're gonna adopt an animal, okay, find it a good home if you can't keep this animal. Don't just adopt an animal because you're feeling sad one day. Oh, I feel sad, I'm lonely, I'm gonna go get an animal, go to get a dog. You have to be responsible for that animal. And you know, if you can't have the animal for certain reasons, find the animal a good home if possible. Like, don't leave them out in the cold. All these animals being abandoned, I see everywhere, all over the world, because you just can't handle it or you don't have the heart to take them to a shelter. So you just leave them.
Well, the shelters are even like, they're full up.
They're
They don't even take them anywhere. They're
overloaded.
overfilled
No,
now.
get your animals fixed, please.
Yeah.
Please, I just ask that, and adopt before you shop. That's, you know, everyone, I get it, right? I mean, some people get a dog and the dog is really hard to have, or you have allergies. I totally understand that. But think about those kind of things before you just go on a whim and adopt an animal. That's just my 2 cents, but what do you think about that?
I agree.
You know, you had a cat.
Having a pet is much like having a kid.
It is.
It is,
It's a
and
big
you have to put
responsibility.
a lot of thought into it before you get one, and then
Yeah.
a lot of them end up abandoned somewhere, or they just leave them somewhere. No, that's not.
They have
that's
feelings
right.
like we do, and they have feelings of abandonment, and they get sad, and they get scared just like we do, and they have anxiety and depression just like humans get. So please think about that. That's my biggest thing.
Adopt, don't buy.
Adopt, don't shop.
Yes.
Anyway, Mike, we're going to wrap this up pretty soon. Do you have a pet peeve that you want to quickly just throw in before we wrap it up?
Well, no, that was a really good one with the animals.
Yeah,
You
that's
have to
pretty-
remember that you're adopting a family member.
Well,
Not a
yeah.
status symbol.
They're not, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Just because they don't have a voice and they can't say anything doesn't mean that they don't have feelings like we do.
No, that's exactly
That's
right.
just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to throw in before we wrap this up today?
No. That's about it for today.
All right. I bet our viewers, are you disappointed that we didn't talk anything about sex today, or
No sex today.
no sex today?
No
Or
sex
you want more
today.
sex? So put it in the comments. If you want it to be more racy, you tell us.
Or if you have requests.
If you have requests or anything that we want to talk about or you want us to talk about, let us know. Subscribe to our channel, please. We're also on Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And Mike, thanks for being our mystery guy.
Mystery Mike.
We'll see you in, I guess, the future sometime, hopefully.
Thanks for having me on, ladies.
And again, thanks to Kildares for having us today, and thanks for our camera crew. And have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
License to have kids. I really think you should have to have one. This is Dan's rant for this week. Let's get into it. I have to buy a truck for my work, and when I did so, I had to have people background checking my payment history to see if I could afford this truck. When I bought a house, I had to jump through the hoops and go through the rigmarole to make sure I could afford this purchase. Yet people are allowed to have children without any thought of the consequence or thought of how much money it's going to take to raise this kid. Statistics show it costs about $250,000 to get a kid to 18 years old, but nobody gives a shit and nobody checks to see if these people are allowed to do it. I think you should have to have a license to have these kids. When I adopted my dog, I had people come and inspect my house to make sure the backyard was big enough. How would I discipline this dog? How would I be able to feed this dog? Yet nobody gives a fuck when somebody wants to bring a child into this world. You have people on a year-long wait list having interviews with people asking personal questions about whether or not you watch pornography or not, just to adopt a child. People who actually want to have children have to jump through more hoops than people who don't want to have children and just get knocked up, and then it's everybody else's problem. Now I gotta pay for their daycare because daycare is too expensive? Well, you probably should have fucking thought about that before you had a kid. It's unfucking believable. Having a kid should be a right. It's not a privilege. It is a massive responsibility. The people who decide to have kids without a license in my proposed world, your kid doesn't get a SIM card. You're having to pay for education for that kid in a private facility. You don't get access to free health care because you are making the conscious decision, even though the world has said you're probably not fit to have this kid. Then you get to prove them wrong. So I'm not saying you can't, I'm just saying that it's on you. It's not on everybody else. And that's how that gets fixed. Now, we got to look at these people like these drug addicts, these perpetual minimum wagers, these people, oh, you've had 3 assault charges in your life. Turns out you get physically violent when you get upset. That person should not be able to have a fucking kid, because then you abuse that kid inevitably, and that kid grows up to be a drug addict or thinking the world hates them, and it just creates a bigger problem. I'm sick and tired of these people who are just saying that everybody else has to pitch in so I can afford daycare and afford food for these children. I'm tired of having to give to food banks and daycare facilities because you were too stupid to realize that you don't have the ability to raise a child properly. That's what I'm talking about this week. Let me know how you feel about it in the comments. I'll see you there.
Hey, we'd like to thank Kildares Pub in the southwest of Calgary, Alberta, Canada, for allowing us to film our show here. Please subscribe to our show on YouTube and also follow us on Twitter and Instagram.